Once the default number of worksheets is set, Excel allows us to add worksheets manually. We can click on this plus sign button here to add up to 255 worksheets. These tabs show the names of existing worksheets. They're called Sheet 1, Sheet 2, Sheet 3, and so on by default. We can easily rename them or make changes with a right-click on our mouse. We can select sheets separately or use the Select All Sheets command to group and then edit them together at the same time. The Control key has the letters CTRL on it. We can use the Control key to select and group only part of an existing worksheet if we want to. The title bar of the active workbook will show the word group if sheets are grouped together. To ungroup them, we simply click on any of the grouped worksheets and choose the Ungroup Sheets command. Excel has two commonly used types of sheets. They are worksheets and chart sheets, where only the charts and some buttons can appear. The worksheet is the default sheet, so clicking on the plus sign adds a worksheet. To add another type of sheet, we can simply right-click on the tab for any existing sheet and choose the Insert command. When we do this, the dialog box appears. The worksheet option is highlighted because it is the default option. We can choose Chart, Macro, or any of the available template sheets. We can even go online to add more templates. We can click OK, or just double-click on the selection to add it. To rename the sheet, we can right-click on the Sheets tab and choose the Rename command. We can also double-click on the tab and type a new name. To delete a sheet, right-click on its tab and choose the Delete command. By default, the Sheets tab is colorless. To add a color, right-click on the tab and select Tab Color. This allows us to choose one of the standard or theme colors. We can also select more colors to select a customized color. Right-click and choose the Hide command to hide the selected sheet, or sheets if they are grouped. The Unhide button becomes active when there is at least one hidden sheet. To unhide a sheet, click Unhide and then select the sheet we want to see again. Now note, we can only unhide one sheet at a time. Click OK to unhide it. It is important to know how to move or copy a selected worksheet to another location. We can also do this with multiple sheets. There are three different ways to do it. Option 1, we can move a selected sheet to a different place in the active workbook. Option 2, we can move a selected sheet to another open workbook. And option 3, we can move a selected sheet to a new blank workbook. Let me demonstrate this for you. Right-click on Sheet 1's tab and select Move or Copy. The Before Sheet box allows us to choose what sheet will be behind our selected sheet after it is moved or copied. The To Book box shows us which workbook the sheet will move to. The default location is the current active workbook. Click OK to place the selected sheet behind Sheet 3. Now let's move Sheet 2 to another open workbook. Click Move or Copy. Select the Test workbook from the To Book box. Then select Sheet 1 in the Before Sheet box and click OK. We can see this moved Sheet 2 behind Sheet 1 in the Test workbook. Let's rename this sheet My Sheet. And we'll go ahead and move it to a new blank workbook. Click Move or Copy. Select New Book from the To Book box. And click OK. We can see that the sheet in the recently created workbook is now called My Sheet. The action explained in the previous section moved the selected worksheet to a new location and removed it from its previous location. We can also copy the selected worksheet and keep it in both locations. Select the Create a Copy checkbox at the bottom of the Move or Copy dialog window and then click OK to do this. Let me demonstrate. Let's move this sheet back to the Test workbook. Click Move or Copy, then choose the Test workbook from the To Book box. Then select the Create a Copy box and click OK. We can see that the sheet has moved back to the Test workbook. But if we check again, it also has a sheet with that same name. Let's go back to the Test workbook to see another way to move sheets around. To move a sheet within the active workbook, go ahead and select it. And then we can hold and drag it to another location. As we can see, the down arrow will appear above the selected location. This is where the sheet will move to when we release the mouse. And here I'll move it. And we can also do this with a group of sheets. On a closing note, just remember that we cannot copy or move any hidden sheets. Let's talk about some general options in Excel, and begin by discussing the Options dialog box. This is the main dialog box in Excel that allows us to choose what things we want to appear on the screen and how they appear. To open it, just click on File, and then Options. As you can see, it comprises of 10 tabs. The first one is the General tab, which is the most commonly used. As you can see, User Interface Options group then includes various sub-options, such as Show Mini Toolbar and Selection. This is the toolbar with basic formatting options that appears after selection. To illustrate how it works, let's select some text on the worksheet, and the mini toolbar above the selection will appear. We can enable it or disable it from this checkbox. We can enable Show Quick Analysis options on selection. This is the new Quick Access toolbar on the lower right corner of the selection. It allows us to quickly analyze data with charts and formulas and formatting tools. Another option in that group is the Enable Live Preview. It has 3 different options to choose from the drop-down menu. The first option is Show Feature Descriptions in Screen Tips. We can enable or disable them all if we choose. I'll demonstrate this by hovering the mouse near the conditional formatting icon. As you can see, the description with the help link appears. Let's choose the option "Don't show the feature descriptions in screen tips," and hover the mouse again over the conditional formatting icon. As you can see, only the description of this icon appears. We can completely disable them all by selecting "Don't show screen tips." Another options group I want to show you is the "When Creating New Workbooks" group. These are comprised of several options boxes. Use this as the default font, which is set to body font. It's worth noting that Calibri is the default font in Excel. We can choose to select another font from this drop-down list. Font size, which is set to 11 points by default. Default view for new sheets, which is what most people typically see. We can easily choose page break preview or page layout view if we choose. We can enter the default number of sheets we want to view after launching Excel. It can be anything from 1 to up to 255. You can personalize your copy of Microsoft Office by choosing a username as a default author of new workbooks. You can change the background pattern on the right side of the Excel title bar. Note that you have to be signed in with your Microsoft account to use this feature. Another personal feature you can change is the Office theme. For instance, you can modify this colored background to dark gray or white. Select this box if you want Excel to display your username and initials. This will still work even if you sign in with an account that displays different information. By clicking on Default Programs, this enables you to select all types of application files that you want to be associated with Excel 2016. By clicking here, it allows you to be notified if another spreadsheet program or viewer on your PC is compatible with Excel workbook files. You can also enable or disable the start screen by selecting this checkbox. Just to be clear, this is the screen that appears when launching Excel 2016. You'll notice some settings appear with the small I style icon. If you hover your mouse over this icon, Excel displays a tooltip for the setting. This tooltip explains what happens when you choose the setting and also advises you what you need to be aware of when you turn on the setting. To find and edit the common calculation options, click on the Formula tab. Note that the options for multi-threading calculations are on the Advanced tab rather than the Formula tab. Calculation options enables you to choose when formulas on your workbook can be recalculated or enable iterative calculations to decide when and how the formulas that Excel cannot solve on the first try, such as cyclical reference, can be recalculated. You can work with formulas by choosing the reference styles and or auto-completion and other calculation and error checking rules. The Proofing tab contains spell checking options and a link to the Auto-Correct dialog window. Click the Save tab to choose the default saving methods, auto recovery exceptions, color palette, to choose what colors are seen if the file is opened from a previous version of Excel, and web server options. You can choose editing, display, and help languages on the Language tab. As the tab suggests, click the Customize Ribbon tab to customize the ribbon, and the Quick Access toolbar to customize the Quick Access toolbar. Go to the Advanced tab for more advanced options.
Add-ins tab shows a list of available and installed add-ins, and the Trust Center tab contains a link to the Microsoft Center with 12 additional categories. Excel 2016 offers two new settings, and the first one is that it allows you to enable or turn off an animation feature introduced in Excel 2013. It can be found in the General category of the Add-ons tab. You can select this option or turn it off. And the second one is in the Add-ins tab that allows you to enable or turn off Excel add-ins such as Power Pivot, Power View, and Power Map, rather than installing them separately. You can find them in COM add-ins, click Go, and select them if desired. But please note that these settings applies only if you own a version of Excel 2016 that includes the add-ins.
This beginner-level course covers the basics of Excel, such as data entry and organization, data formatting and basic calculations, and saving and printing options. The objective of the basic level is to prepare you to become more familiar and therefore more comfortable with Excel. If you are completely new to spreadsheets, let alone Excel, this course will give you the confidence you need to use them on a daily basis with a degree of professionalism. Hi, my name is Georgi Kovtarits. I'll be your tutor for this Microsoft Excel 2016 beginner course. So, a bit about me. I'm a certified Microsoft Office specialist in Excel. I have 8 years of working experience with Microsoft Excel and Visual Basic for applications. Over the years, I have overseen many projects in budgeting and financial modeling in a variety of industries, such as gaming, hospitality, and sales. I currently work as a financial analyst and part-time Microsoft Excel tutor. My classes are delivered through Certiport authorized testing centers and prepare students for the official Microsoft Office Specialist Certification exam in Excel. Every application needs its own menu bar to navigate and perform functions. In Excel 2016, the menu bar is called the ribbon and contains 7 different types of tabs, which we can easily navigate through to find our desired menu options. We can find groupings in each tab that contain the icons of some options which are grouped by the common features of their functionality. For example, in the Clipboards group, we can find the Cut, Copy, and Paste options, as well as the Format Painter. In the Fonts group, we can choose the basic font options, like the size of the text, fonts, background, and font colors, and so on. In general, the Home tab includes the basic functions that we need to modify, filter, sort, and illustrate our data. By looking at the Insert tab, we can find both the simple and complex functions such as illustrations, charts, text boxes, word art, pivot tables, and pivot charts, which we will discuss later on. The Page Layout tab allows us to change the app themes in general. Here we can also set and print the desired area and manipulate the sheet and cell options. The Formula tab includes most of the built-in functions to make almost any kind of calculation, such as logical calculations. It also includes lookup and reference functions and time and date functions. The Data tab is responsible for working with external data and queries, consolidating different tables, generating powerful what-if analysis and forecasting, and carrying out advanced optimization tasks. The Review tab allows us to share and protect our workbooks and worksheets, allow or restrict permissions to view and edit data, and perform simple things like spell checks. And finally, the last default tab is the View tab. This allows us to select viewing options for things such as workbooks. Through this tab, we can also customize and save our preferred viewing settings, and even record and run macros. By default, Excel 2016 contains 7 different tabs. However, we can quite easily customize this to add, remove, or modify the existing selection. To do this, right-click on any tab using our mouse and select the Customize the Ribbon option. There are more advanced options available through the Developer tab, which we will explore in the next levels of the course. I'm going to show you very quickly how to create your own workbook from scratch rather than using a template. To do this, we'll be using a blank workbook or a blank project. Much of what I show you on this course will be based around blank workbooks. So let's open one and get familiar with it. To do this, we just need to double-click on Blank Workbook, or use the Escape button from our keyboard. Now what we can see is a blank worksheet and the menu bar above called the ribbon. If you look in the top right corner, you can see the standard minimize, maximize, and close buttons you'll find on most applications. Now, if you'll go ahead and move to the top left-hand corner, you'll see the Quick Access toolbar. By default, this displays the Save, Undo, and Redo buttons. We can easily customize this section by clicking this drop-down button here and choosing an existing command, or choose from the More Commands menu. We'll discuss this feature in more detail in the next levels of the course. By default, the workbook has one blank worksheet. However, we can easily add more by clicking the plus sign here. For those that are using a keyboard, we can jump to the previous sheet by holding down the Control key and pressing Page Up on our keyboard. To go to the next sheet, hold Control and press Page Down. As you can see, the worksheet is composed of simple rows and columns. The intersections of these rows and columns are called the cells, or ordinates to be more technical. For example, A1 is the ordinate of column A and row 1. And F5 is the ordinate of column F and row 5. By default, Excel is using the A1 reference style. That's why we can see rows in numeric formats and columns in alphabetical format. If you want to change the way Excel formulas refer to cells, we can use the R1C1 reference style, which we can choose by selecting File, Options, Formulas, then select this checkbox and click OK. What we can see now is that the columns are formatted in numeric format as well. Let's go back and check out this box to use the A1 reference style. It's important to note that there's a difference between active cells and selected cells. We can easily select one cell or a bunch of cells called the range or the area. If we take a look here at G5, we could see that only one cell can be the active cell. All the other cells are just selected cells. We can easily select cells with our mouse, and additionally, if you want, you can use the arrows on the keyboard. At the top of the working screen, under the ribbon, is located the formula bar. This contains the edit line for working with formulas and data. The name box represents the information relating to cell addresses, which are the locations of cells on a worksheet, and by default are defined by the column, letter, and row number. For example, A3. Hi, let's discuss a few commonly used words you'll hear throughout this course. First, we'll begin with the title bar, which is the area here. It contains the active workbook name and some other standard Windows buttons, such as Save, Undo, and Redo buttons. We can choose more of these from the Quick Access toolbar. Click More Commands to choose any desired commands from here. Also, it has Minimize, Restore Down, and Close buttons. You can sign in with your account from here, or manage your ribbon with the Ribbon Display options. You can choose to hide the ribbon, show tabs and commands. The ribbon is the menu bar at the top of the Excel application. It has a few default tabs such as Home, Insert, Page Layout, and so on. By clicking on the tab, it will show you the option associated with that section of the ribbon. For example, the Formulas tab contains most of the Excel functions such as logical functions, text functions, date and time functions, define name options, formula auditing tools, and calculation options. You can click on this File button to go to the Excel options and customize certain Excel settings, or click this Share button to share your work on OneDrive, Business OneDrive, and SharePoint. A cell is the intersection of a row and a column. A row is a horizontal division of a worksheet and is defined by numbers. A column is a vertical division of a worksheet and is defined by letters. It can contain text, numbers, or a formula. When a cell contains a formula, the resulting data shown on the screen is called a value. A cell's status could be active or selected. An active cell contains the insertion point, and its address is shown in the name box, and its value shown in the formula bar. A selected cell is just a highlighted cell that will be affected by the next command or action. A range is a block of cells. These can be selected, manipulated, named, or formatted as a group. Every cell or range, chart, shape, or word art can be called an object. In other words, an object is any data that can be used in an application or shared with other applications. Every sheet has its own tab that contains the name of the worksheet. You can click the Sheet tab to show its corresponding worksheet. You can change the name and color, as well as make some additional customizations. Microsoft Excel 2016 is the latest version of the long-running Microsoft Excel spreadsheet application. It is by far the most popular spreadsheet application in the world, used by millions on an everyday basis in almost every industry where some form of record-keeping or numerical calculation is required. Excel 2016 is part of the Microsoft Office suite. It can be used both on PCs and Macs, as well as handheld devices. Microsoft offers an installed and online version through its Office 365 platform. So what can Excel 2016 do for you? Here are just 10 of the things this powerful application can do, starting with the most basic. Number 1. Keep accurate numeric and alphabetic data records. Number 2. Turn data into charts and present it in more understandable ways. Number 3. Filter large amounts of data to extract exactly what you want from it. Number 4. Create sales forecasts. Number 5. Create 3D maps from your data. This might be useful if you're doing a population study or want to visualize where the bulk of your sales revenue is coming from. Number 6. Turn written math equations into text on the screen if you're using a touchscreen device. Number 7. Share your work with colleagues more easily through share tools. Number 8. See a history of changes you or colleagues have made to workbooks that have been worked on. Number 9. Perform tasks quickly with the Tell Me function, rather than scratch your head trying to figure it out. And number 10. Get more insights, advice, or suggestions with what you're working on through the Insight tool. It's a bit like having a buddy in the background. Let's talk about who this beginner-level course is aimed at. So I would consider somebody who had never used Excel before as a beginner. If you're a first-year business or finance student, or perhaps someone looking to get a basic understanding of Excel, then you might identify yourself with this group. By taking this online course, I assume you have some basic knowledge of operating systems, such as how to install and open applications. If you already own a laptop or device with Windows or Mac OS installed, this should be familiar to you. Now, you may be very familiar with older versions of Excel and might not think you fall into this category, but I strongly advise that if your skill level is based on Excel versions older than 2007, you should take this course. The reason for this is because much of the layout is very different in pre-2007 versions. The 2016 version also has additional features and functions that you might not be aware of. Click on a cell to select it as the cell to work on. When a cell is selected, its name will be in the name box here. To select a group of cells, just click and drag. As you can see, the entire range will be highlighted. When the range is selected, only the name of the active cell is shown in the name box. We can enter lots of things into a cell, for example, text, numbers, and dates. It can also contain some advanced features such as formatting, comments, formulas, and functions. Let's enter some content into some cells to fill this sales table. Select the cell A7 and type in a new invoice number. The invoice number appears in the cell as well as the formula bar. Now all we need to do is press enter. Let's fill in the rest of the cells with some data. You'll notice that cell A4 contains a duplicate value because the same invoice number is written in cell A2 above. Let's go ahead and change the number in cell A4. To completely change the number, we select the cell and just retype. For example, 11-256. Then press enter or double click on the cell. Another way to change it is to use the formula bar to select and change it. To delete the cell's content, we can press the clear button here and choose the clear contents command. Or we can press delete or backspace on the keyboard instead. The main difference between these keys is pressing delete clears the contents of a range of cells, while pressing backspace clears the contents of a single cell. Let's select row 4 and press delete. And we can take a look at what happens. As you can see, it removed the row's contents, but the row is still there. If you want to remove one or more cells, we can use the delete button on the Home tab instead of the clear button. This actually removes the cells from the spreadsheet. The cells below move up and fill the gap. Just remember not to remove any important values you want to keep by accident. Now I'm going to show you how to cut, copy, and paste the date. To copy a cell's contents, we use the Copy button on the Home tab, or we can use Ctrl-C keyboard shortcut. Then we select the destination where we want to paste it. The destination may be a cell or a group of cells. Doesn't really matter. Once we activate the Cut Copy mode, the Paste button on the Home tab becomes active. We can use the Paste button or Ctrl-V on the keyboard. To access more paste options, open the drop-down menu here. These commands are useful for more advanced users who are working with formulas, validation, and formatting. You can also see these commands by right-clicking on a cell in the worksheet. To cut and paste, right-click and select Cut. This clears the content of the original cells as soon as we paste the data in a new location. Like that. There's also a drag and drop technique for moving cell content. To do this, select a range and place the cursor on an outside edge of the selection. Now click on it and hold and drag the content where you want to put them. Now let's add the product list for the sales table and put it in between the sales rep and the amount. To insert a new column, all we have to do is select the column on the right of where we want to insert the new column. Click Insert on the Home tab and it's done. Now let's fill the sales with some data. The process is similar for inserting a new row. Just select the row below where you want the new one to go. Click Insert and the new row will appear above the row you selected. Remember to select the entire row to insert them properly. Otherwise, you will just add a single cell. The same rule applies for inserting columns or deleting rows. Cells are set to the default size when we open a blank workbook or insert rows or columns. However, we can type values greater than the default size as shown here. To resize the column, drag the cursor over the column heading, then click and drag it to the right. We can do the same thing from the Format button on our Home tab. Let's click on it and choose the column width command to change it to a specific measurement. Note that width is measured in pixels. Let's enter a value and click OK. Another technique I want to show you is how to auto-fit to column. Excel can automatically adjust columns so they fit the content of the cell selected. Let me demonstrate. Go to Format, click on it, and choose the Auto Fit Column Width command. I'd also like to show you something else. Select all columns, double-click just one of the column headings, and they will all automatically fit to their cell's contents. The main benefit of auto-fitting is that Excel looks into all cell contents and auto-fits columns to the cell with the longest value. And rows work the same way. Wrapping text is one way of managing cells that contain values longer than the default size. So let's take a look at the wrapping text command. Let me demonstrate. Assume we can only increase our products column to 25 pixels, but still need to see all of its contents. The wrap text feature allows us to display the text in multiple lines. As we can see here, cells are automatically adjusted. Finally, let's talk about merging techniques for merging cells. For example, our table has a title that needs to be centered in a single long cell. To do this, we select the cells we need to merge. Then we click on Merge and Center command on the Home tab, and it's done. We can centralize the title by choosing the Merge Across command to merge rows instead of a single row, or merge cells without centering. Click the Unmerge Cells to disable the merging command on a selected area. Click this button here to access more text alignment options. Let's talk about other time-saving features like autofill and flash fill options. For example, we can copy the name of the sales representative from cell D10 to the cell below, or fill a range of cells below D10 with the same value. To do this, select the cell, move the cursor to the bottom right corner until the black plus sign appears. Click the mouse, hold it down, and drag the cursor to the last cell in your desired range. Release the mouse and Excel autofills the range of cells with the same value. Another way to autofill a range of cells is to click on a cell, go to its bottom right corner and double click on it. Now this only works if the cells we want to copy have content in their neighboring columns. For example, we can't autofill the range down to cell H10 by double-clicking on it because column G and column I around the cell H10 contain blank values. If we want to copy the number values and autofill the range, we can double-click on a cell. But what if we want to add an incremental change? For example, let's increase the value of each cell in the range by 1. To do this, type 2 in cell C11. This gives Excel the pattern to copy between cells. Now select the range from C10 to C11, double-click on the bottom right corner, and we can see that Excel autofills and the cells and increases the value of each cell with an incremental value of 1. We can get the same result in another way. Select cell B10, go to its bottom right corner, and right-click on it and drag it down. When we release, the options dialog box will appear. If we choose to copy cells, only the value from cell B10 will be copied. But if we click on Fill Series, the range will fill with values that incrementally increase by 1. What if we want to increase cell values by more than 1? We can type 5 in cell H11, select the range H10 and H11, and drag that down. When we release the mouse, the range will be filled with values that incrementally increase by 4. Now, date and time values work a little bit differently. For example, if we want to autofill cells with sequential dates, we don't really need to type 02/04/2016 in cell A11. Just double-click on the bottom right corner of cell A10 and it will automatically fill in sequential dates for us. We can also sequentially increase times the same way. Cells that contain text values can only be copied. We cannot make incremental changes to them. As we already mentioned, copying time values will add an hour to each cell. When we right-click on a cell containing a date and drag it down from the bottom corner, additional fill options will appear when we release the mouse. We can choose to fill days, weekdays, months, or years. If we choose to fill weekdays, then Excel will only fill the weekdays in the selected area. It will skip all Saturdays and Sundays for that period of time. If we have created a custom list, like the weekdays custom list, we can type any day from it in a cell. Then when we select and double-click on the bottom right or drag it down, it will automatically read the list structure and fill the rest of the range with days from that list. If we try to copy a cell that has numbers at either the beginning or the end, Excel will autofill that data and increase the number values in increments of 1. It doesn't matter whether the cell starts or ends with the numbers. The next time-saving feature I want to discuss is the flash fill option. Let's go to the next sheet and try some examples. In this example, we will modify product codes in text format like this. First, type a product code in cell B4. This is the beginning of the range that will tell Excel how we need the rest of the range to be filled. Now click Enter and start typing in the next cell. Excel will consider our format and give us a sample live preview for the rest of the range. Press Enter to apply the format. We can split or concatenate cell contents if needed. For example, if we want a list of the first names of sales representatives from column C, all we need to do is type the name Ray in cell D4 and start typing in D5. And as you can see, Excel understands our goal and shows us a preview of the filled range with only the first names in column D. Press Enter to apply it. Follow the same steps to extract only the last names from column C in column F. Type Klein and start typing in the next cell. Then press Enter to apply this. Using the Flash Fill option to concatenate cell contents is easier than using ampersands or Excel's built-in functions. For example, type Ray W. Klein in cell G4, click L and start typing in the next cell. Excel will automatically show the preview of the concatenated values. Click Enter to apply them. A formula is a combination of operators, operands, and functions. It can be used to perform calculations or other actions on data entered into the formula. Just like a calculator, Excel can add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and also perform much more advanced calculations using its built-in functions. Excel uses standard arithmetic operators for functions. It uses the plus sign to add, a minus sign to subtract, an asterisk to multiply, a forward slash to divide, and a caret for exponents. All formulas begin with an equal sign because the cell contains, or is equal to, the formula, or the value it calculates. The other types of operators are the comparison and concatenation operators. The comparison operators are equals, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and not equal to. The concatenation operator is the ampersand. Let's do some basic calculations and calculate totals and averages for units sold and for dollars sold. First, select cell B10 and type the equal sign to start a formula. Now type in the values with a plus sign in between them. For example, type 9 plus 16 plus 20 plus 8 plus 12, and press Enter to let Excel calculate them. Enter the same formula for column C. To calculate the average units sold, we need to divide the sum of the values by the number of weekdays. We already know the sum of the units sold, but if we didn't need to summarize them separately, use the parentheses and then divide the sum by the number of weekdays. For example, we will put the sum of the values in parentheses after an equal sign. So type 9 plus 16 plus 20 plus 8 plus 12, end the parentheses, and then divide it by the number of weekdays, 5. Finally, to calculate the average price per unit, let's divide the total sum of dollars sold by the total number of units sold. So press the equal sign, type the sum of dollars sold, and then divide it by the number of units sold. Then press enter. We got the result, but it's a very cumbersome way to get them. We may have to calculate hundreds or even thousands of rows and columns, and manually typing them is not a handy or time-saving process. It is much easier to use Excel's built-in functions rather than using the plus sign for every one. For example, let's use the sum function to summarize the same values in cell I-10. First, type the equal sign to start the formula, and then type the name of the function. In our case, it is sum, S-U-M. So now we'll talk a little bit about the construction of functions in general. With a few exceptions, almost all functions have a syntax that combines required and optional arguments. Arguments may be separated by a comma or a semicolon, depending on our operation system and what list separator we are using. If the argument is in module brackets, it means that it is the optional argument, and the function can be calculated even if we omit them. Let's go back to our sum function and type it again. So type the equal sign, sum, and you can press tab to autocomplete the function name and insert the first bracket automatically. This allows us to preview the whole syntax. Now, instead of typing the numeric values, let's select the cells containing those values. For example, select cell I4 as the first argument, type a comma to go select the next argument. And then we can select the rest of the values in the same manner. Close the brackets and press enter to calculate. Even with that, it can still be difficult to work with large amounts of data, but Excel gives us an opportunity to select the whole range with one mouse movement. For example, to calculate the sum of dollars sold, select cell J10, type the equal sign, and choose the sum function. Then select cell J4, hold the mouse and drag it to the last number. In this case, it's cell J8. And then release the mouse button. This is a method to select the entire range when the first and last cells of a range are separated with a colon. Note that with this action, an argument with the sum function can contain a range of cells or only one cell. Press enter to calculate the sum. As we can see, it also has some formatting features. Type the average function in cell I11 and select the same range to calculate the average value of units sold. To calculate the average price per unit, we still need to divide this total sum of dollars sold by the total sum of units sold. Use the sum function to simplify the process. If you are just starting to work with Excel, you may prefer to use the Insert Function dialog box. Select the cell K13 and then click on this FX icon on the Formula tab. The Insert Function dialog box will appear. You can either choose the required function from the list box below or type the name in the box above and click Go or press Enter. Excel will automatically search and show the function's name at the top of the functions list. Select it and click OK, or just double-click it to open an instructions dialog box for that function. We can also select a category to simplify our search. Click on the drop-down arrow next to the selected category box and choose the appropriate function. Let's focus on the sum function and open its dialog box. You can simply enter values in the arguments fill boxes that are at the top of the dialog box. Or you can use this icon to minimize the dialog window and select the desired range. Click the icon again to bring up the dialog box again. We can also select cells without minimizing the dialog window. The middle area of the dialog box contains information about the selected argument and the formula itself. For example, this line here helps us to understand what exactly the sum function is doing, and the second line gives us information about the argument selected. Right now it's helping us with the first argument. But if we click on the second argument here, it'll give us its definition. In the descriptions we covered, the dialog box shows us the calculated result for this current selected values. You can see the same result in the formula result at the bottom of the box. Click OK to fill the cell with the result. To open the Insert dialog box another way, you can type equals into a cell, then click on this Names Box's drop-down arrow button to choose one of the previously used functions. Excel gives us an opportunity to write these basic formulas automatically from the AutoSum command button on the Home tab. It contains sum, arrange, count numbers, max, and min functions. If we click on the AutoSum icon here, instead of using the drop-down menu, Excel will automatically enter the sum function. This is because it is the first function on the function list. But we can choose others or go to more functions. Let's illustrate how we can use it. Select the range with an additional blank cell next to the end value, or select it without it, and click the AutoSum icon. Excel will automatically summarize the selected range. We can do the same thing with the horizontally aligned data. Note that this action just writes the calculation result, but does not show the formula itself. If we select the blank cell next to the last cell with data, we will see the sum function filled with the continuous range to the left, or above it if the data is aligned vertically. Go ahead and press Enter to calculate. These steps may be useful to check the range Excel automatically selects, and we can modify it if we need to. Functions like the AutoSum function don't recognize data that is either below or to the right of the selected cell. When there is data in those areas, we need to select the range manually. We can see this if we try to summarize and insert the AutoSum function in cell D28 automatically. So go ahead and select D28, then click the AutoSum icon. Excel writes the sum name with the brackets, but doesn't select the range below. We would need to select them manually for this. Let's use the formula in more than one cell and see how we can simplify the process with the autofill option. Select D5 and type the formula =B5 multiplied by C5 and press Enter to calculate the total sales for product 1. Then click, hold, and drag the fill handle to copy the formula to adjacent cells. Release the mouse and the formula will be copied to the selected cells with their relative references. The values will be calculated in each cell. We can double-click on any cell to check the formula for accuracy. The relative cell reference will be different for each cell depending on its row. Let's try another example and calculate the bonus salary for all sales representatives. To do this, multiply their sales by their average bonus rate. Follow the same steps and multiply cell K5 by the average bonus rate in cell O3. So type K5 times O3. Press Enter and fill the rest of the area to calculate the salaries for others. What we see here is that Excel shows us only zeros. This is because when we use relative cell references, all cell arguments, sales and average bonuses in our case, follow the direction of our formula as it copies. For example, when we copy the formula from cell L5, the first argument, sales, goes down by one row and refers to row 6, and that's fine. However, cell O3 also goes down by one row and refers to row 4. Cell O4 contains a 0 value, and when we multiply any number by 0, we will always get 0. That is why we see only the 0 ranges shown in the custom number format in the entire range. We need to use an absolute reference for a correct calculation. This means that a cell reference won't change when it's moved or copied. An absolute reference uses the $sign before the row and column initials. We can easily change the reference style by using the F4 key on your keyboard. Let's clean this range up. Select the cell L5 again. Type the same formula, =K5 times O3. Let's focus on cell O3. What we want to do is freeze it and make it the only multiplier for all sales values. Press F4 once and the $sign appears before the row and column initials, as you can see here. Click Enter and fill the formula to the adjacent cells. Use the Control-D keyboard shortcut to do this. It works correctly now. The $sign before the row number 3 means that it won't change to 4 or 2 when we copy it down. And the row reference won't go up or down. The $sign before the column O means that it won't go to the left or right if we were to copy it either left or right, and it won't change the column reference to column N or P. Let's discuss the sorting options to see how to organize data in the fastest way. Sometimes we need to sort data, like it is here, in either ascending or descending order. To do this, first select a single cell within a table, right-click on it, and select the Sort command. Then under these options, choose A to Z to sort it in ascending order, or Z to A to sort it in descending order. Let's sort it in ascending order. As we can see, the table is now perfectly organized in ascending order. We can also use these sorting icons on the Data tab to do the same thing. Let's sort the score table in descending order. Click the Z to A icon, and as you can see, it's sorted. In our next example, let's see what happens to a table that contains more than one column when we want to sort it by a single column. In this case, we'll use text candidate as our column. To do this, first select a cell from the text candidates column and click the Z to A icon on the tab. This moved all values from other columns to match the movement of rows within the sorted column. The sort warning dialog box will appear if we try to sort when we have two selected cells within a column. By default, expand the selection as selected, but if we choose the second option to continue sorting with the current selection, then Charita, the name, will be associated with that exam score. This won't exactly be correct, for example. So let's click Cancel to cancel it. But when two or more columns do not have any connections, it can sometimes be useful to sort them separately like this. For example, we can select the separate column Test Candidate and click on Ascending Order Sorting icon on the tab, then choose the second option, click Sort. What we see now is that the test candidates are sorted separately from the other columns. Let's now use the Custom Sort dialog box and sort this table based on colors. First, select a single cell from the table and click on the Sort icon on the Data tab. The Sort dialog box will appear. By default, this box, My Data Has Headers, is selected. This means that it recognizes the table header, and in this case, the sort by column box will list the names of our table columns. If we uncheck this box, it won't be able to recognize the title, and the sort by box will show the column headings. Let's go ahead and check this box again and choose exam title from tables columns. In the Sort On box, we need to choose what criteria we want to sort. It can be values, cell, or font color and icons. Let's focus on cell color. In the Order box, it will show all colors it sees in the column selected. We can choose one of them or no cell color option. Let's choose orange. Finally, we can go to the last box and choose to sort it on the top or the bottom. Let's choose the top. We can also add another level of sorting. For example, click the Add Level button, choose Exam Title in the first box, Cell Color and Sort On, and Green in order, and then sort them all on top. Click OK, and the table is sorted based on the exam title cell's colors. We see orange and also green at the top, and green at the second level. To change the sort levels, click the Sort icon on the tab again. Select the rows for the next level, and then we can use these up and down arrows to move them up or down relative to the others, giving them higher priority. Click Sort to see that the green cells are sorted first and then the others. Sometimes we need to sort based on multiple columns. Let's sort scores based on exam titles. The important thing here is something called the major column. The major column is the last sorted column when we use these icons on the tab. It is also the column sorted at the first level when we use the Sort dialog box. Let's select a cell from the table, click Sort, and we will go ahead and delete all existing sort criteria. Add a level and choose exam title in the first box to be a major column. Add another level and choose scores in the column, and select largest to smallest from the order box. If we click OK, we now see that the exam title is sorted in ascending order, while the scores are sorted in descending order, but within a level of the exam title. For example, for Moss Access 2010, the scores are sorted in descending order separately. Then we have a break here because another level of exam titles begin, and within this level, the scores are again sorted in descending order separately. We can add another date if desired. For example, an exam date column. Let's select a single cell to do it, and then sort. Add a level between existing levels, and choose the exam date. Sort it from oldest to newest and click OK. Another level is now added. We can manipulate levels using these up and down arrows. Up at the top here. And that will change the order. I'll move it up and down. And then we can click OK to apply the changes. To do the same thing with these icons here, first undo these actions using the Ctrl-Z keyboard shortcut. Select a cell from the score column and sort it in descending order. Then select a cell from exam title and choose it as the major column and sort it from A to Z. And it'll be the major column because the last column selected. Now we get the same result with test candidates as the major sort column. Sometimes we may need to illustrate and analyze data without creating charts. To do this, we can use a data analysis tool called Sparkline that was introduced in Excel 2010. It is a small chart that fits in a single cell that has certain advantages over the standard chart. For example, when we have thousands of rows, the traditional chart may confuse us if we also choose to show the source data. Individual sparklines can be placed next to source data to make it easier to see relationship between data series. Because they are so compact, we may have several sparklines in a column. There are three types of sparklines. To see them, go to the Insert tab and focus on the sparklines group. They are line, column, and win-loss. The line and column sparklines are similar to their corresponding chart types. The win-loss sparkline is a column chart that only shows whether the values are positive or negative. Let's look at how to add a sparkline. First, select the data in row 4 for the sparkline. Now go to the Insert tab and choose one of the three sparklines. Let's choose line. The Create Sparklines dialog box will appear. The first box is for the source data that we've already selected. We need to choose the sparkline's location in the second box. We'll select N4 and click OK. The sparkline illustrating the data in row 4 is now created in the selected cell. We can spread this down, similar to formulas. Use the fill handle to copy the sparkline down and illustrate data in the other rows. Let's add the column type in column O. Excel allows us to customize sparklines from its Design tab. We can modify the type, style, and some other elements. For example, check the first point box to highlight the first point on the sparklines. Choose the high and low points to highlight the highest and lowest point on the sparklines. Or check the markers box to highlight all existing points on them. We can change a sparkline to another type of sparkline very easily using the type group. Click on the drop down arrow here to select and change the sparkline style. Use the sparkline or marker color menu to either change the color of the whole sparkline, or we can just change the points on it. To delete existing sparklines, select the drop-down arrow next to the Clear button and choose one of the options listed. We can either clear only the selected sparkline or clear the entire group of sparklines. Let's choose the second option to clear the entire group of sparklines. Now delete them from column O as well. Let's insert some basic illustrations in Excel, like a text box or other sample shapes. To do this, click on the Insert tab and find the text box icon on the right corner of the tab. Click on it. Now choose where you want to place the image. Drag it to choose the size before placing it. And now the new drawing tools will appear for this object, with some editing options in it. First, select the object to activate it, then go to the Shape Fill menu to choose your desired shape. Go to the Shape Outline to choose the outline border color and style, or play with shape effects. Let's choose a shadow effect. We can choose the shape style using this Theme Style menu, or change its size using these numbers form boxes. Or we can even use these cycles here to resize the text box more easily. To add text, first click inside the text box and then start typing. When we select the text, the Quick Formatting menu appears above it. We can use the commands from here or go to the Home tab to do the same job. We can make the text bigger. We can center it using these horizontal and vertical alignment icons. Let's make the text bold and use a red font. And we can choose the word style or a text effect. Do transformation or a 3D rotation. And we can do more formatting from this tab. To insert another type of shape, go to the Insert tab, then click Shapes. You'll find a lot of options here. By default, the first one is the text box icon. To choose another shape, for example, a heart, click on any location, drag to resize the image, and release the mouse. The new shape is created. Right-click on it and choose the Edit Text command to enter the text in another way. Type the text and modify it in the same way we modified the text box. Go to the Home tab, maximize the text, center it, make it bold, give it a red font. To make the shape transparent, go to Shape Fill, no fill for the shape. We can even create a new shape from the Format tab. Let's select Scribble to draw a free-form shape. Note that all sample shapes have the same editing options. Let's move on to basic formatting. We're going to start by looking at a sample report for the ABC Sample Company. Formatting can help draw attention in a positive way, but the same tools can also make data difficult to read. When a sheet contains a lot of information, we can use basic formatting to customize how the data is displayed. Formatting can draw attention to specific information to make it more understandable. The font, alignment, number, and styles group can help us achieve this goal. Let's start formatting and make the columns width from A to D equal to 10. First, select them all, click Format, Column Width, go ahead and type 10 here, and click OK. We already know how to set the default font for a new workbook. However, Excel has many other fonts we can use to customize cells' values. Let's select the table's header and click this drop-down arrow here to see the available fonts list. A live preview is available when we hover the mouse over different options. We can also type any font's name in this box and press Enter to apply it. Let's just Consolas. To change the font size, first select the cell we want to modify. Then click the drop-down arrow next to the font size box and choose a font size. A live preview of the new font size will appear. We can increase and decrease the font size from these icons here. Or we can just type the desired font size in the box and hit Enter. Let's apply bold and underline formatting to the title of our table and bold and italic formatting to the Q1 sales in cell A5. First, select the title and press the B icon on the Home tab, or use the Control-B keyboard shortcut. Then press the underlined U icon here, or use the Control-U keyboard shortcut to apply the formatting. The result will be the same if we apply bold formatting after the underlining. The formatting order does not matter. Now let's select cell A5. Press the B icon on the Home tab, or use the keyboard shortcut. Then press the I icon, or the Control-I keyboard shortcut to add bold and italic formatting. To change the cell content's color, select cell A1, click the drop-down arrow next to the font's color box, and select a color. Red is the default color for this. You can choose the More Colors command at the bottom of the menu to access more color options. Here you can choose standard colors or you can go to the Custom tab to use the RGB or HSL color models. A live preview will appear at the bottom right corner of the dialog box. And go ahead and click OK to apply it. We can use colors and cell borders to define different sections of our table. To add a border, first let's go ahead and select the range from A6 to D9 and click the drop down arrow next to the borders icon here. Click all borders when the borders options appear. This will draw in all the borders in the selected range. We can also change the style and color of our borders with the Draw Borders tool. Click Line Style in the drop-down box and click on any of the border of a single cell to apply it. Or you can select an entire range to color its outside borders. Use the Erase Border option to erase a single border from the selected area, or select the entire range to clear all colored borders around the range. Let's select cell A1 and click the drop-down arrow next to the Fill Color box. Choose any color from the list and you will see a live preview. We can select more colors for additional colors. From here you can customize colors or you choose from a larger selection of standard colors. Select No Fill to remove colors from selected cells. Excel has pre-designed cell styles in the Styles group. They're a quick way to format different parts of a workbook like titles and headers. Let's apply a pre-designed style. First, select cell A1 and click on Cell Styles in the Styles box and choose a style. By default, it shows 4 options: normal, bad, good, and neutral. They are also listed in the first row of the menu where we can find and choose styles from data and model part, from title and headings, themes and styles, and number format as well. Selecting a pre-designed style, like Accent 1, means that the existing cell format will be replaced with the selected style. Cell alignments are the only formatting changes that will remain. You can customize the style by clicking on the New Cell Style command at the bottom and activating the Style dialog box. Then click Format to modify the style. To copy styles from another open workbook, click the Merge Styles command. Then select the workbook with the styles you want to copy. In our case, there's only one other open workbook. Now click OK. Click Yes if you want to merge styles with the same names, or No to skip them, and Cancel if you want to cancel the process. By default, any text values are aligned to the bottom left corner of a cell. Number values are aligned to the bottom right of a cell. Sometimes it is easier to read a cell's contents when they are aligned in the center. For example, month in row 6 and the title may need to be aligned to the center. Use the horizontal and vertical alignment buttons to do this. Let's select the range from B6 to D6. And click on this middle button to center the cell's contents. Select the cell A1 and click this button again to center it horizontally. And then click this button to center them vertically. We can add both alignment options at the same time. A text alignment button will turn gray when you click on it to apply it. Click it again to deactivate its formatting. Let's look at formatting options for numbers. General formatting is the default. Click on this drop-down arrow in the number formatting box to select other formatting options. The number formatting box does not show a live preview within a selected cell. Instead, a preview can be seen below each option on the list. Let's select the range from B7 to D9. And go ahead and choose the accounting format. This format will add the currency symbol to the left of number values. The currency format also shows the currency symbol. The main difference between these options is that the accounting format places the currency symbol to the very left of a cell while the numbers are placed on the right. The currency format aligns all cell values to the right and places the currency value right next to the numbers. There are no visible differences between these formats in our example, so to illustrate it, let's type a small number in cell H5, choose the currency format, and then we can choose the accounting format. You should be able to see the difference between those two formats. Let's choose the date format for cell C3. In our case, the short date format is the default, but we can change this to the long date format. They depend on our PC setting and can be changed from the control panel menu. We can see previews below the option. We can use the time format to display times, and the percentage format to display numbers as percentages. We can also apply the percentage format using the percentage icon, and adjust the number of decimal places with the decimal icons. Increase and decrease. We can choose fraction to display numerical values as fractions. Choose scientific or text formats when you need them. To get more formatting options, click on the down arrow button in each group, and the Format Cells dialog window will appear. You can find more alignment and orientation options in the Alignment window. Go to the Font tab to add more effects and size options. The font window has a live preview box to view these options. You may find it easier to work with border line styles and colors from the border window. From the drop-down arrow in the number window, you can work with number formats, as well as find more fill effects, color options, and shading styles. Let's finish our work by formatting the rest of the table. The Format Painter icon is on the Home tab, and is an excellent tool for this because it copies and pastes the whole formatting of a selected area. To use it once, select the range containing the desired formatting, and click on the Format Painter. For example, select the range A5 to D9 and click on the icon. Then select the first cell of the second quarter range. The selected cells are automatically formatted with the same features, and the Format Painter icon deactivates. To apply formatting to multiple places, select a range of cells that are already formatted and double-click on the Format Painter icon. Now you can apply that format to as many areas as you want. To deactivate the Format Painter, click the Format Painter icon again. Once a chart is created, we may have several things we want to modify. To do this, first activate the chart area and go to its Design tab. It will allow us to quickly change the chart layout, styles, change the data source, and we can change the chart type or even move the chart to another location. To add a chart element, let's click this drop-down arrow here. The Elements menu will appear. Now choose the desired element. For example, by default, all vertical and horizontal axes are visible, but we can click these icons here to remove them. A live preview is available when we hover the mouse over the icons. Click here to show titles for primary horizontal or primary vertical axes. To add a title for the horizontal axis, select the text within the box, and we'll type regions. Click on the chart area or on a certain cell to save the changes. We can also add data labels. Let's hover the mouse over each option to see their live previews. Click the data table to add them with the legend keys or without them. We can also add error bars, grid lines, and legends. We can even add a trend line if we want to do some forecasting. Go to the Quick Layout menu to change the layout view of the chart. Click this drop-down arrow to change the style of our chart. Let's change it to Chart Style 9. We can also go to the Chart Type dialog box and change it to another chart type here. Choose Types List to activate each group, and then make a selection. A live preview is available. Click the Select Data icon if you want to change the existing source of a chart. First, let's clear this box here and select another range. Click OK and the source is changed. There is another simple way to do the same thing. Click on the bottom right corner of the source and hold it and drag it to any direction. Release the mouse and the source will be changed with the new data. We can click the Switch Row Column icon here, or click the same button on the Select Data Source dialog window to switch them. Click OK to activate the command. Let's go back and switch them again. We can also use these chart shortcut icons. For example, we can use the plus sign to add or remove the certain element of the chart. Use this right arrow button to go to the additional options for certain chart elements. Use this icon here to go to the formatting options, or you can change the style or color of the chart. Use the filter icon to filter data using values or names. Click the Move Chart icon to move it. You can also right-click on the chart area and choose the Move Chart command. The same dialog box will appear. You can choose another worksheet here. In the Object drop-down menu, if there is any other, or choose the New Sheet box and to add a new chart sheet with the default name Chart 1. If we check back to Sheet 1, there won't be a chart in it. This is because we moved Chart 1 to the new sheet. To move it back, click on the Move Chart icon, select the object in the box, and choose Sheet 1. Click OK, and the chart is back. Take a look at the worksheets to confirm that our sales chart is back to its previous location. Has been deleted from the new worksheet. Use the Format tab to format any part of the chart. As an example, activate the chart by selecting the chart area, and then choose any color from the Shape Fill menu item. Or click on the plot area and change only the color of the plot area, as you can see. We can also click on a specific column on the plot area to modify its format. Note that the Formatting tab is similar to Other Shapes Objects tab. There aren't many different options on them. We can save this chart's formatting as a template for future charts. Right-click on the chart and select the Save As Template command. The Save As dialog box will appear with a directory where all chart templates are stored. We'll go ahead and name this one and click Save to save the template in the directory. There is a simple process we can use to create another chart with these formatting features. Select the data, go to Insert tab, click this drop-down arrow here, go to All Charts, and click the templates. All existing previews will here click New Chart and OK, and our new chart with formatting features from this template is created. The best way to make great charts is to practice. Practice as much as you can and just spend time working with chart elements and other features. Use your imagination and you will create great charts. Let's talk about the Excel auto-filter options that help us with large data sets. To add a filter, select a cell within a table, go to the Sort and Filter drop-down menu here, and click Filter. You might find it easier to do the same thing from the Data tab. First, activate it, and then click on this filter icon. We can also add this option using the Control-Shift-L keyboard shortcut. The small down arrow buttons will appear on the title bar of our table. To remove the filter from the entire range, click the icon again, or use the Control-Shift-L keyboard shortcut. We can filter the table based on numeric values like dates and numbers. We can also filter out text values or font formats. Let's assume that we only want to see the past results in column E. First, click the Auto Filter icon on the column header, and then check the first box in the list that drops below. This will automatically clear all options from the list. Now check the desired past criteria. Click OK, and only the past results will be visible. The filter hides entire rows on the table when their values don't match the filter's criteria. We can filter one or more columns of our data. For example, we can choose to see only the past results for MOS Excel 2010 exams. Let's click on this button. Then we can check out all options and choose MOS Excel 2010 and click OK. Our table is now filtered based on 2 columns. To clear the existing autofilter conditions, click on this Clear button on the Data tab. The autofilter dialog box differs based on the type of cell content is in the column. For example, if we click on the header of a numeric column, we can find the unique values that column contains. We see the same structure of listed values for text columns. However, if we click the auto filter icon on the dates column, we can see that the list structure is shown as a group of years and months. We can click this plus sign to expand the items, or use this minus sign to collapse them. The main difference is in the additional options of the auto-filtered dialog box. For example, if we click on a column containing the number values, it will show the additional filtering options for numbers. If we click on a column containing text values, it will give us additional options to work with text. If we click on a column containing dates, it will give us options to work with dates. Let's do some examples. Assume that we only want to see the past results with scores greater than or equal to 800. Let's click on the auto filter icon, go to the number filter, and choose the greater than or equal to command. Type 800 in this box, and click OK. Now only the scores above or equal to 800 that passed are visible. We can use the other commands like equals, does not equal, greater than, less than or equal to, or between some values. Use the options below the line more carefully because they don't pay attention to filters in other columns. For example, if we click on the above average command, it won't show us the above average values just for the past cells. Instead, we will see all the above average cells in the entire column F. These tools are typically more useful when used separately. Let's clear the filter and focus on the column containing text content. In the test candidates column, we have a lot of names we may or may not remember. So the additional text filter options will be very helpful for this. For example, if we want to find the names that begin with the letter A, we can use the begins with command. Type A into this box here and click OK. Now only the names that begin with the letter A are visible. Use the ends with command to show names that end with a certain character, like the letter M. It doesn't matter if you type capital M or lowercase m. Click OK and all the names that end with the letter M will be shown. Choose contains if you're not really sure where a certain character will be written within a text. Or you can click doesn't contain to find names that do not include certain characters. The new search box here, introduced in Excel 2010, is very useful for working with text values. For example, if we type the letter L here, it will automatically show us the names containing the letter L. If we type the whole first name, it will quickly search for that person. Click OK to show it. If we decide to add another criterion, and search for brand of Van Cleave. After clicking the OK button, it will automatically clear the previous name and only show the new one. Let's find Alex Cousson. Check Add Current Selection to the filter box to add the new criterion to the existing one and show both names together. Let's go ahead and clear this filter now and go to the Dates column. Click on the filter icon and go to Data Filters. We can see that it contains many more additional features. We can choose to see the transactions that occurred yesterday, last week, or last month, or even choose the transactions that will occur next month, next week, or tomorrow. Let's click Between and this custom dialog box will appear. We can choose the desired date from the drop-down buttons, or we can use the date picker icons to pick the date. Let's go ahead and choose January 1st, 2016 as the start date and May 5th, 2016 as the end date. Click OK and all the transactions within those dates will be shown. You can use other options from the list or even go to the additional options of all the dates in the period menu and choose the desired one. If you take a look at the bottom of the options list, you will find the custom filter command that is visible in any additional commands list in the auto-filter dialog boxes. They are even visible for text or number values. Let's clear this filter, then open the auto-filter dialog for the text column and click on Custom Filter. We are already familiar with this dialog box, so let's focus on the bottom part of the dialog box. This gives us instructions for using the question mark and asterisk letters as filter criteria. For example, if we type 4 question mark here and click OK, it will display names that only have 4 characters. It means that the question mark is used to find names with a specific number of characters. Or we can use an asterisk after an A, and this will search for names that begin with the letter A. And this can represent any series of characters. Click OK and only names starting with the letter A will be shown. Note that we can use these characters in any location within a text. They can be at the beginning, middle, or end of a text. We can use the AND criterion instead of using OR when using the Custom Filter dialog box. For example, go to Custom Filter, choose Begins With in the first box, and type A next to it. Then go to the next box, choose Contains, and type C next to it. This type of criterion allows us to search for names that start with the letter A and also contain the letter C. Click OK to show the search results. Finally, Let's see how to filter cell and font colors. First, clear the filter, then click on the filter icon on column C to check if the filter by color icon is active. It won't be active if the column doesn't contain any formatted cells or fonts. Click this button again and go to the Filter by Color menu. Right there. We can choose to filter the table by cell color or by font color. Let's filter by cell color and choose green to only show the cells filled with green. Note that only one color or only one criterion can be selected at a time from this options list. We can't filter by font and fill color at the same time. Choose No Fill if you only want to see cells that do not have any fill color. And you can choose Automatic to see only cells in the default font color. As we already know, Excel by default shows us grid lines on a worksheet, row and column headings, and the formula bar. We can customize them from the View tab or from the Page Layout tab. These options are called the Sheet options. We can check out the View box for grid lines to make them invisible on the sheet. Or we can click them again to show them. Check out the View box for the heading to make them invisible, and click them again to show them. We can use these boxes here to make grid lines and headings visible while printing the data. It is convenient to customize the quick access toolbar to show the print preview and print icon on it. To explore this option, click on the Print Preview button. As we can see, this shows us both headings and grid lines on a printable page. Let's go back and check out these boxes. And if we check the preview again, they won't be visible, as you can see. Click on this drop-down arrow here if we want to see more page setup options. We also have the Arrange group here. Let's illustrate how the selection pane works. Click on it and in this additional window will appear on the right side. Use it to hide or reveal certain objects on a sheet like charts or boxes. You can click these eye icons to hide them or make them visible again. You can also click here to show all to make them all visible, or hide them all with this button. Let's go ahead and make them visible again, and we'll close this window. If we have one object pasted over another, we can use the send backward or bring forward buttons to change which one is visible. To illustrate this, first click on the January chart, then click on the send backward drop-down arrow and choose send to back. It is now pasted behind the second chart, on the left side. Click the January chart again and go to the Bring Forward Commands menu and select Bring to Front. Now it has the previous position in front of the other chart. Sometimes we need to add some background effects on our worksheet. To do this, first clear the grid lines. Select the entire worksheet. Go to Home tab and choose any fill color. Instead of coloring the entire worksheet, we may choose to use the background option from the Page Layout tab. Let's click on it and then click on the Browse button here to choose a folder from our PC. Here we can select a picture and click Insert. Now our worksheet has these pictures in the background. Click Delete Background to delete it and say goodbye to those puppies. Sometimes we only need to print out a selected range rather than the entire page. To do this, let's select the area to print. First, select a range on the active worksheet. Go to the Page Layout tab, click on the drop-down arrow here, then choose Set Print Area. To check how this works, go to the Print Preview and see what values will be printed. Only the selected range values until April are visible. To modify the print area, head back to the sheet and select a new range. Click on the Print Area drop-down arrow to set the new print area. Check the Print Preview again, and it will show data until July. To remove a selected print area, simply go to the Print Area menu and choose to clear the print area. Now if we check our Print Preview, it will show all data it can see on the first page. We can customize page headers and footers from the Page Layout tab. To do this, select the tab and then select any cell on the table. Click on any of these arrows here to activate the Page Setup dialog box. Then go to the Header Footer window and select an option from the drop-down lists for headers or footers. We can choose to make odd and even pages different. We can click a checkbox to make only the first page different. Let's customize our header and click this button here. The header dialog box will appear. There are 3 sections on it. Type the information you want to make visible at the top left corner of the page. Click here to put it in the middle of the header, and click here if you want to put it at the top right corner. Let's select the left section and insert the page number. Now select the center section and insert the date. Then we'll click on the right section and insert the file name. Click OK to go back to the Page Setup dialog window and press the preview icon to view the preview of our page. Now you can see that our page header contains the page number on the left side, the date in the middle, and the file name on the right side. Click on the right arrow to go to the next page. This header shows the current page, but is otherwise exactly the same as the header on the previous page. We can use the dialog box to customize the footer with the same sections and information. Let's focus on other page setup options. First, select any cell on our table and click on this Print Preview icon on the Quick Access toolbar. Now go to the next page. We can see that only the first page shows the title bar of our table. To make it visible on any page on our table, let's go back to the Page Layout tab and click the Print Title icon, and select the rows to repeat at the top of the box. Go to the worksheet and select the entire row 2. Click on the Print Preview icon again on the dialog box to look at the print page preview. If we check all pages one by one, we will find that the title of our table is now visible on each of the pages rather than just the first. We can work with this setting or activate the same dialog box by clicking on this link. We can change the orientation from portrait to landscape in the page window. We can manage the scale, size, and even the quality of the pages. Go to the margin window to adjust margin size from the top, bottom, left, or right, or even manage the size of the header and the footer. Check this box to center the pages horizontally, and choose this one to center them vertically. Click OK to apply the changes. It will be more visible if we go to the third page. The date is centered horizontally and vertically as well. We can do the same thing using this drop-down arrow. For example, we can change margins, select orientation, manage the size. To make columns repeat to the left, click the Print Title icon and type or select your desired range in the box. Check these boxes to make them visible while printing, or to change the page printing order. Excel offers two simple ways to save our workbooks, the save and save as commands. They are similar but have some differences. For example, when we edit or create a new file, we can click on the Save button at the top of the application, or use the Ctrl+S keyboard shortcut to save it. When we save a file for the first time, we need to choose the file's name and location where we want to place it. If we want to continue to modify the document, clicking on the Save command will save the file in the same location with the same name. The Save As command can also be used to make a copy of an existing file by changing either its location or its name. Let's save our newly created file. Click on the Save icon at the top. The Save As pane will appear in the Backstage view. Now we need to choose whether we want to save it on our PC or on OneDrive. Unlike the older versions, Excel 2016 lets us save our work to the cloud using OneDrive. It is an online storage service included with our Microsoft account. Note that we have to be signed in to use this option. Let's choose PC and click the Browse button to select our location. The Save As dialog box will appear. We can still save the file to OneDrive from here if we change our minds. But let's continue and save it to the PC. Click on Desktop, then click on Files, and type the workbook's name here. Click Save to save the file. If we make some changes here, and click the Save button again, it will save the workbook in the same location with the same name. The Save As dialog box does not appear, and we do not need to change or retype anything. To make a copy, go to File, then click Save As. Choose whether you want to save the file to OneDrive or PC. Click Browse and decide whether you want to make a copy with a different name but in the same location, or choose another location. You can keep the same name or change it. Let's choose Test2 as a new name and save it in the same location. You can also choose to save the document in a different file format. Click on the drop-down arrow here to see a list of available file formats. An Excel workbook created for most recent versions of Excel is the default format. You can also choose to save it as a macro-enabled workbook if you want to save it with some VBA scripts in it. You can even choose to save a file in the Excel binary workbook format. If a user will read the document on an older version of Excel, save the document as an older version to avoid compatibility issues. Select the format from the list that is the most appropriate. You can also save files in PDF format. Go ahead and click on Save, and the file is saved to the same location, but with a different name, as you can see here. When working with a lot of data, it can be difficult and time-consuming to locate specific information within a workbook. For example, imagine if we needed to check every individual cell in column D to find the name Miriam. It will become more difficult if we needed to look through the entire workbook and check every existing worksheet. Fortunately, we can do this easily by using the Find and Replace dialog box. To activate it, let's select the Find and Select menu and choose Find, or simply use the Control-F keyboard shortcut. You may already be familiar with this. It's a pretty commonly used shortcut for finding in a file or directory. For example, let's try to find every time the word access is written in column C. Press Ctrl F to activate the dialog and type access in the Find What box. Use the Find Next button to find the next matched case in column C. Or you can click the Find All button if you want to see a list of all places access occurs. Note that list contains hyperlinks that will jump us to the cells that they reference. We can resize the dialog box to see more hyperlinks at the same time. And if we click on a hyperlink, we can see the cell it references in the worksheet. We can also modify the cell it references. To make this process simple, click on the Replace tab next to the Find tab. Click in the Replace With box and type the word we want to change to. For example, Excel. Then click Replace to replace only the selected cell, or click Replace All to replace all of the matched cases at the same time. The dialog box also shows us how many matched cases Excel found and replaced. Just click OK to close this. We can use the Find Next button if we don't want to change every instance in the search term. When you click this button, Excel will skip to the next instance the search term appears, like this. And if we find an instance that we want to replace, we can click Replace, and only that occurrence will be replaced. We can use this dialog box to make changes to a certain selection rather than an entire worksheet. Let's select a couple cells and try to change the word Excel into Word. So then we'd type Excel here, and Word down here, and then click Replace All. And we'll see that only the selected cells are changed and modified. Click OK to close this box. Now let's look at the custom options in this dialog box. Click this button here. We can use this drop-down arrow to choose Format or Format from a cell. By default, the No Format set is used. We can choose Workbook here to search within the entire workbook rather than only in a sheet. By default, Excel will only search within the active sheet. Let me illustrate an example. Let's type Miriam in the Find What box. When sheet is selected here, and we click the Find All command, only one matched case will be found and selected on the active sheet. But if we choose Workbook and click the Find All button again, Excel will find another matched case in the workbook. The workbook name and the sheet it references is written here. You can use match case when capitalization is important. By default, Excel doesn't pay attention to whether we use capital or small letters when searching the criteria. Let's look at an example and search for Calvin with a capital C. If you type Calvin only using lowercase here, click Find All and it will find 3 matched cases. But if we check this box here and click Find All again, it will find only one case because only this name here starts with a small letter C. Uncheck this option to not pay attention on capitalization. We can search by rows or columns, and rows are the default. Use the Match Entire Cell Contents, and also it can be used to search within formulas. Use the Find and Replace dialog box to insert or even cut content within a cell. For example, let's insert the word Microsoft after the colons in each cell in cell C2. First, select it use the Ctrl-H keyboard shortcut to activate the Replace menu rather than the Find menu. Type a colon in the Find What box, and then in Replace, type colon space Microsoft. And this will change the colon character with the colon space Microsoft. Click Replace to see the result in cell C2. Click the Replace All button to modify each cell in column C and add the word Microsoft. Click OK to close this box. Now, if we don't want to cut the inserted word from cells, let's type space and Microsoft in the Find What box, and don't type anything in the Replace With box. Click Replace All, and the word Microsoft with the space character is removed from the entire column. This can be the fastest way to add or remove any content to cells in the area. Let's look at our next example and make some changes within a formula. If we check the formulas here, we'll find that they refer to column E rather than column F. All results are calculated for the year 2015. To modify this, first copy the range from a formula we want to change. Select all the cells here, click Ctrl-H to activate the Replace window. Paste the copied range in both the Find What box and the Replace With box. Now change the letter E to F in the Replace With box and click the Replace All button. If we check the formulas again, we will see that they now refer to column F. Another way to search specific cells is to use the Go to Special dialog box. Click this drop-down menu here, drop down arrow here, and go to Special. For example, if we only want to see the formulas written in a sheet, click on Formulas and then OK. Only the formulas on the worksheet are selected. Let's try to fill all existing blank cells from E2 to F24 with zeros. First, select the range and go to the Find and Select menu. Then click Go to Special and choose Blanks. Click OK to select only blank cells. If we type a value, the active cell will fill with that value. Then if we hit Control Enter, it will fill all the existing selected cells with that value. We can find other interesting options here, including select the current region or array, and just visible cells, and last cell. Use the help icon here to find out more information about the Go to Special dialog box options. Using the auto filter is great, but sometimes we need to use additional functions to analyze data quickly. Let's focus on the subtotal function in this section. We may consider two functions under this name. The first one is the built-in function with its own syntax, and the second one is the subtotal dialog box right here. Let's start with the built-in function and see how effective it can be. For example, to calculate the average of total scores in column F, select cell M2, type the function average, select the entire column F, and click Enter. Now let's do the same thing using the subtotal function. It has two required arguments. The first one is the function number. We can choose the desired number from the list shown here. In the first argument, let's choose 1 or average. Remember that it only shows the function's number and not its name. Click comma and then select the entire range F, entire column F. Click Enter to calculate it. At first glance, it looks like we have the same result in both cells, but we'll see a difference if we auto-filter the table. Let's filter it based on result column using the past criterion. The subtotal function now shows us only the average value of visible cells, while the average function in cell M2 still shows us the total average of the entire column F. Basically, the subtotal function ignores any rows that are not visible in a filtered table, no matter which number value is used. Note that this is true for data in columns, but not rows. For example, here are the calculated average values for several rows using the subtotal function. The results won't be updated if we decide to hide a column in this table. This can be the fastest way to see the results based on filter criteria. Now let's talk about the subtotal dialog box and select the Data tab. We might need to calculate average values for certain exam titles separately. For example, for Excel 2010, for Access 2010, etc. First step is to organize the data using the sort function. It helps us to organize similar exam titles together in column C. Let's select a single cell and use the filter drop-down arrow to sort the column from Z to A. Next, go to the right corner of the Data tab and click on the subtotal icon. The subtotal dialog box will appear, and the entire table will be selected. It has a series of options. Choose a column or header name on the table from the top box. Use the drop-down arrow to tell Excel what column to subtotal at each change. Let's choose the exam title that is already sorted. Choose average functions from the Use Function box. Then check the column header name from the list we want to add to the subtotal based on exam title values. Click OK. This dialog box groups similar cell contents together, inserts blank rows below them, and calculates the average value of scores using the subtotal function. We can choose another function instead of average if we want to. We have three views of this table. Click the number 3 if you want to see the whole table with all totals and values. Click 2 if you need to see only the totals like subtotal and grand totals. Click 1 to see only the grand totals. It is useful to know how to copy and paste just the totals from the view of the table. First, let's select the table, copy, and go to sheet 3, select cell A1, paste it using Ctrl V. As we can see, it pastes all the data from the table, including the totals and values. It does not matter if they are visible or not on the copied location. To copy them, select the table again, and then go to the Home tab and select the Find and Replace icon. Choose Go to Special and select the Visible Cells Only command, or use the Alt semicolon keyboard shortcut. This will select only the visible cells on the table. Use Ctrl C to copy. Only the visible cells will be copied now that we've changed that. Go to the sheet 3, select cell I1 and paste. Now, only the totals are pasted. To reverse the result, let's activate the subtotal dialog box again from the Data tab, right here, and choose Remove All. Our table now has its previous view. In this section, we will learn about viewing workbooks. Let's go to the View tab and focus on the Workbooks View group. It contains 4 types of views. These views are normal, page break preview, page layout, and custom views. We can also see 3 view icons at the bottom right corner of the status bar that gives us the same views as these 3 options here. Excel's default view is the normal view, but we can choose others as well. The page break preview shows us the printable page view. The blue dashed lines represent the division between pages. We can find the other line below the table. The page layout view helps us manage table margins and customize headers and footers. Let's go back to the normal view and talk about zoom options. We have a zoom slider on the status bar here, and we can scroll it to the right or to the left to adjust our view. We can also use the plus sign or minus sign to zoom in and zoom out. To customize the view, click on the percentage number here. This activates the zoom dialog window. We can choose any value for it, customize the percent magnification, or check the fit selection box to zoom to a selected group of cells. We can also use this zoom to selection icon in the tab. Click OK and Excel will zoom to the selected cells. Let's save this view and click on the Custom Views icon on the View tab. Click Add on the Custom Views dialog and type any name you want in the name box here. Click OK to save it. Let's go back to 100% view zoom to illustrate how we can use the saved view on a sheet. Select the Custom Views icon again, and select the desired saved view from the list. Right now we only have one saved view. Click OK, and you can click on the delete button on the dialog if you do not want to use that saved view anymore. Now let's go back to the worksheet's default size. Another cool feature is Excel's ability to freeze panes. We can freeze the first row of our table to fix our title into place. First, click on any cell on the worksheet, then click the Freeze Panes icon and select Freeze Top Row. It will automatically freeze row 1. The table's title remains visible when we scroll down. Note that there is no undo option when we freeze panes. To remove it, we need to click the icon again and choose Unfreeze Panes from here. We can also freeze the first column so that the product column will remain visible when we scroll the sheet to the right. And again, just click Unfreeze Panes to remove it. And from here. Sometimes we may want to freeze not just one row or one cell, but freeze multiple rows and multiple columns. We may even want to freeze both of these together. To illustrate this, let's select cell D3 and then click Freeze Panes here to freeze the first 2 rows and first 3 columns around the cell. And as I scroll, you can see how they're frozen. Now let's focus on the Arrange All icon. The Arrange All icon allows us to open windows of more than one workbook and set them side by side. The workbooks we want to view must be open. Now there are 4 different options for this. There's tiled, horizontal, vertical, and cascade views. Let's arrange windows of an active workbook. We can click horizontally and then click OK to arrange all open workbooks horizontally. Click here to maximize the view of the workbook. Use the new window icon to open a new window for the active workbook. Then go to the View tab, click Arrange All, and choose Vertical to arrange all windows vertically. All 3 of them are here. To arrange only the active workbooks views, activate the Arrange Windows dialog again. Check the Windows of Active Workbook box here and click OK. Now we can only see windows from the active workbook. They are arranged vertically. The main benefit of adding the new window is that we can see and work on many sheets of the active workbook at the same time. For example, we can choose another sheet on this window and work on both of them together. We can remove one of them by clicking on his Close button here. We can split a sheet at any point and then disable it or hide and unhide the workbooks. Note that we need at least one visible workbook when a workbook is hidden. We can hide or show the grid lines, headings, or even the formula bar itself. Sometimes we need to insert a comment instead of editing a content of a cell. Let's add one. Select cell D5 and right-click on it. Now choose the Insert Comment command or go to the Review tab and click on the New Comment icon. A comment box will appear. Type a comment like total sales for product 1 inside it. Then click outside the box to close it rather than pressing enter. If you press enter, it will just move the cursor down to the next line within the comment box. Let's add some other comments on a sheet. Comments are represented by the red triangle in the top right corner of a cell. Select the cell or hover the mouse over it to view its comment. A comment box may contain the default author's name for our workbook. And of course, this can be changed through Excel's general options. By default, Comments are hidden and can only be shown when we focus on certain cells. We can choose to show them all and view all comments at the same time. Click the Show All Comments icon on the Review tab to make them all visible. And you can click it again to hide them all. We can do the same thing with an individual cell. Right-click on the cell and then choose the Show Hide Comment command. And then you'll be able to see it. If you right-click and select the Hide Comment command, it'll hide it again. Use the Show Hide Comments icon to do the same up here. To edit a comment, right-click on the cell containing it and choose Edit Comment, or click on the Edit Comment icon on the Review tab. We can apply the bold, italic, and underline formatting features, or resize the text if needed. Click again outside the box to save your changes and close it. To delete a comment, right-click on the cell and choose the Delete Comment command. Or you can go to the Review tab and click on the Delete icon in the Comments group. Click the next icon to go to the next comment, or click the previous icon to select the previous one. In this section, we will focus on Excel's Paste Special options and discuss some time-saving tricks in depth. To make the Paste Special dialog box appear, first copy a cell and click on this drop-down arrow here and choose Paste Special. We can also right-click the location where we want to paste to and choose the Paste Special command. The shortcut icons are also available for some special commands. The dialog box contains two main parts: paste and operation. It also contains three additional options, like skip blanks, transpose, and paste link. Note that you can only choose one option from each of the two main parts. However, we can choose up to 4 options in the dialog box. For example, select one option from the paste group, one from the operations, and select both skip blanks and transpose boxes. Let's look at some examples. In our sales table, we want to copy Tom's total to the cells below it. We can do this with the Format Painter, but let's go ahead and use the Paste Special command for this. First, copy cell G3 and select the range from G4 to G6. Right-click on them and choose this icon here to paste them. Or simply go to the Paste Special dialog, click Formats, and then OK. Now the range is formatted. Next, try to copy the totals to the range from J3 to J6. Select these, use Ctrl-C to copy, click here, and use Ctrl-V to paste. As we can see here, the values are not the same. This is because we copied them with the formulas that refer to different cells. We need to copy only the values without the formulas. Let's clear this data. Then select the totals again. Use Control-C to copy. Select J3 and right-click on it. Choose this icon to only paste the values, or go to the dialog box and select Values. Then click OK to apply the option. Now they seem to be correct. We do have another method to copy only values. Let me introduce it and illustrate it. Instead of using Control-C to copy, let's try this. Select the range and place the mouse anywhere on the border of the range. When the black cross sign appears, right-click on it. Hold it and drag it to where we want the copy to appear. We can also go back to the same location. Release the mouse and choose Copy Here as Values Only. If we check the copied cells, we won't find any formulas within them, just the values, which is exactly what we want. This may be the fastest way to only copy values. To paste the values with number formatting, copy the range using Control-C, and then we select cell K3, right-click on it, choose Paste Special, and then select the values and number formats. Click OK to apply the option. Note that this option works with numbers and only copies the number formats. To duplicate a comment in another cell, we can simply copy and paste it rather than insert it in each cell individually. Let's copy J2. Select the range below it. Right-click on it and go to the Paste Special dialog. Choose Comments and click OK. Now each cell in this range has the same comment inserted. Next, let's copy and paste references for the range from G3 to J6. First, copy the range. Then select L3, go to the Paste Special dialog, and choose Paste Link. Now we have references for the totals column of the sales table. Take a look at cell L2. It is not fitted to the cell's content. Let's copy the column width from cell K2. Select K2, copy it, then select and right-click on cell L2. Go to the Paste Special dialog and choose Column Width. Click OK and it now has the correct width. Sometimes we may need to rotate our table to make it easier to read. To illustrate this, select the range from A11 to E12. Go ahead and copy it, and then select cell H11. Click the Paste Special command, choose Transpose, and click OK to rotate it. Let's go ahead and autofit these columns. Note that if the data is presented vertically, Excel transposes it horizontally and vice versa. Let's go ahead and copy it. Select K11. Choose this icon to transpose the table. The table is now rotated horizontally. In our next example, we need to fill this list of letters with the missing letters. First, copy the range from A17 to A24. Select cell C17 and choose Paste. What we see now is that Excel copied over the blank cells over the cells containing the correct values. So let's undo that step, and we can use the Control-Z keyboard shortcut. Now we'll copy the same range, select cell C17, go to the Paste Special dialog, choose Skip Blanks, and click OK. As you can see, it filled in the gaps and the range is filled correctly. We sometimes need to perform a mathematical operation on an existing value in a cell for just one type of multiplication, addition, division, or whatever. For example, we do not need to use an additional cell to double the values of these cells. We can do it in a way simpler way. So we can use very simple steps using the Paste Special dialog box. Let's type 2 in cell A1 and copy it. Select the entire range from B3 to F6, right-click on it, and choose Paste Special. To double the value, for example, choose Multiply and click OK. The values are now doubled, but as we can see, they did lose their formatting. We can also choose to add, subtract, or divide in the same box. Use the help icon at the top here to find out more useful information about these options if you want to investigate further.